Hey, welcome back to On Radio. And I know. Probablemente ahora te estés preguntando, hey, ¿pero qué? Yo me suscribí al canal que habla en español, ¿pero qué hace hablando en inglés? Y yo te respondo, probando nuevas formas de hacer videos, y así poder justificar por qué me tardo 3 meses en subir uno nuevo. Oh, and also, I am not a native speaker, so if there are some grammar or pronunciation mistakes, I apologize in advance. However, there will be subtitles in both in English and Spanish. Now, I can start. You have probably come across quite a few animations of these stickmans as a child. They were present in many YouTube videos and Flash video games. The impact was so significant that some communities were formed based on these animations, and one of the most notable is Dojo. This entire community has a lore that unfortunately we won't delve into this video, but I would like to mention a few things to get started. Within the Dojo community there is a land called Sierra. This is where several special stickmen reside, known as Roja Gladiators. Very impressive, but among all of them, there is one that stands out, and his name is Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh does not just create impressive animation, he goes beyond that. Throughout his stories, which are essentially wordless narratives, he tells us about the pursuit of dreams and everything that comes with striving to achieve them. Without further ado, let's dive into Gilgamesh vs. the world. That wasn't planned. Anyway, as I was saying, this is here, and over there is Life Factory, the birthplace of Gilgamesh, and a self-sufficient society where you could spend your whole life. But our protagonist sees it as a prison. Why? Well, let's go to the north part first and talk about his father. This man here is the boss, but as a child he grew up in the depths part of the factory. But thanks to hard work, he became what he is today. And he wants his son to follow in his footsteps and be a man of success, something that Gilgamesh doesn't want for his life. Is here when Story Zero can start. Our story is set in the antechamber, a ceremonial place where young people go to think about what they want to choose as job. Because this place is quite big and it needs a lot of careers to be considered a self-sufficient place. That's why our careers are not here. And also, that's why Gilgamesh is confused about the career he could choose. And if I may pause again, I want to repeat that these stories tell us how a normal boy becomes an RG. But also, Michael, the creator of this animation, tells us how difficult it is to dedicate your life to art, both in Sierra and in real world. Maybe it's just a child's dream. Gilgamesh gets distracted trying not to think too much about it. But time waits for no one and he has to take the decision. In the end, he chooses a career that may not be exactly what he likes, but at least is somewhat related. His father knows this, but he is reassured now that his son will be working close to him. His son is now ready to live a real life. So 3 years has passed and Gilgai now lives in a routine that he has used to. Oh, and there will be a lot of pauses in here. Sorry for that. His routine is simple. He works half part of the day, gets paid, and then spends his money on entertainment. But at the end of the day, he feels a growing emptiness in him, something he calls down by putting what he likes and making stories. Plus, that night he was too inspired to make a gift for all his friends. Something very kind, to be honest. I know. Maybe by now you have a lot of questions like, what is that green paint that only appears when Gilgai paints what he likes, and why did I put the Spanish subtitles in a part of the song? Well, answer to the first question, this green painting is representing Gilgai's dream, and although it seems only that, it really has an incredible potential that will be seen later. Answer to the second question, Michael, at the time of putting rhythm to his stories, he doesn't choose songs at random, he really tries that the choosing music transmits something at the same time that the animation does. Y por eso lo traduzco, para que mi audiencia en español puedan ver de lo que hablo. Okay, let's continue. The boss is concerned that his son is still chasing a dream that does not exist, so the best decision he can make is to offer him a job change, so then he can continue to build a good future in the factory, which Gilgai refuses. His father seems uninterested in his son's passion, which demotivates Gilgai, but instead of just giving up and giving it up, his dream manifests not in a green paint, but in an entire constellation. Gilgai, although worried, knows that his passion and his dreams are bigger than all the gold in the world. So he finally decides to go towards his true destiny. But obviously it won't be that easy. First, the boss tries to convince him with more gold. Then showing him how miserable his life will be if he dedicates to continue with his dreams. Seeing that, Gilgai continues to show persistence. He has no more option, to be honest. His father knows more than anyone what it's like to be in the bottom of the factory. He just wants to keep his son in a safe place so that Gilgai does not suffer what his father went through. But Gilgai is willing to take the risk, although it's a complicated path, it's the path that his heart and his dreams dictate. Living in Light Factory is simple and safe, free from both financial and literal danger, and it doesn't have to be a metaphor necessarily. However, I can see Light Factory without being reminded to a hometown where, though challenging, it's necessary to venture out in order to progress. This is something his father does not understand, unable to see the dream that Gilgamesh desires so much, but he can see it in his eyes. Finally, he grants his son passage. Gives him some money and bids him farewell. Gilgamesh is now ready to live a real life. Phew, I thought we wouldn't make it out of there. Well, it's time to take the first step. Ready? While he goes ahead, I can take the opportunity to tell you some curiosities or facts. We can notice at the beginning of the story that Gilga's eyes are a normal color, but right after he gets motivated, his armor is covered in gold, his eyes turn green, and apparently thanks to these eyes he can see this constellation. We don't know if other people can see it, but thanks to this, our protagonist has an ability that we can still don't know about the great potential he can reach. Also, on the walls of the office we can see pictures that tell us more about the life of the boss. When Gilgamesh tries to pursue his dreams, his father confronts him and uses his bag to fill it with gold and break it. Now it becomes his familiar red cape. Later, Gilgamesh's brush breaks and becomes a magic pencil that will play a role later on. After that, Gilgamesh ends up finding a cheap place to settle down. That's how the Golden Knight became independent. Wow, quite a journey, but it has only just begun. After Gilgamesh bought this place, which I said before, came chiefs and sit next to a very dangerous forest, our protagonist gets a little hungry. Well, very hungry. So he decides to visit Fry's new restaurant. Hey, but who's Fry? It's a wonderful night, you gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on. Fry is a rogue gladiator and a dojo duels fighter created by Hamed. This guy is an ex-chef who carries a frying pan that can be heated to the point of becoming a weapon capable of exploding. Apparently, Fry has returned to open a new restaurant which will receive a peculiar golden customer. While those two fight, it's time to answer some questions that this history can generate and that are not told directly. This is the number one history of Gilgamesh, and if you wonder why we went from this to this, it's simple. This history was created based on a contest that took place in the dojo community, where artists had to animate an RPG duel in less than 24 hours. This also served to Michael to introduce his character and his skills. Above all, what stands out in Gilgamesh's battles is his strategy in combat, being that he can think clever ways to beat his opponent and take advantage of the advantages that having a golden armor gives him. So Gilgamesh got his first victory. Victory from what? Well, this is a rather curious place. So I have borrowed a book that will help me to explain better. The source of energy, substance, power and life, the cause of death or war, and the origin of the magic that runs through this world, comes from this grain of rice. Alright? Several duelists face each other to win these coveted seats, or some just do it to find a meaning in their lives. It can also be to demonstrate their skills in tournaments or to defend their clan from others, and these two do it for undercooked bacon. And to conclude, at the end of Story 0 we can see that the art style is changing to the one was presented a moment ago. There was also an alternative ending, so to speak, or the version that Hamed made of this fight, but unfortunately I couldn't fight it. Are you ready to go? Man, you need to repair their armor. Every year there are Erichi tournaments. In them, two duelists are selected to fight until one is concerned or unable to continue fighting. Around the world here, there are several coliseums where these exciting fights take place, and Gildegai will make his first participation in one of these. Almost forgot. This is Jake. Jade, leader of the Nemesis clan. This gladiator has a great variety of attacks. At the same time, Jade is characterized by being a very elegant person and a lover of order. This can be reflected in her style of combat, which seems more like a dance. Also gives her enough agility to dodge different types of melee and ranged attacks. And well, what could we expect from the leader of one of the most powerful clans of the Aegis Fields? But we will talk about this clan later. Let's continue with the tournament. I'm noticing something here. Gildegai seems to be more focused on getting in as many hits as possible than looking for strategy. At the same time, Gildegai has not yet unleashed the great potential of his ward, so Jade can easily block and counterattack. While when Gildegai attacks in melee, he's able to strip Jade's weapons easily. But in the end, we won't know how this will end up, right? Throughout here, there are many threats that endanger the lives of the citizens of various regions. This is how Jade started a clan gathering several powerful gladiators to face this threat. Over time, Nemesis became a faction that provides protection services. Thanks to this, the clan has a great demand and therefore has to expand the business with several structures, weapons, soldiers, a castle, and even a bank. All this clan has a separate lore, but right now we are focusing on our Golden Knight. What happens when a rule breaker meets a ruler? With all the Nemesis archive over the years, it is to be expected that they are quite famous amongst the locals. Oh, but look what we got here. How's it going, Fry? How can you eat that fast with a helmet on? Hey, where are you all going? Well, it looks I am stuck in the crowd. Anyway, Gilligan is ready for his rematch. He's been practicing a lot these past few months, so beating Jade won't be that complicated. What happens when a rule breaker meets a ruler? Oh, he left his word. Well, never mind. And just to finish and start the fight, there are two things I have to tell you. 1. The lyrics of some songs are sometimes used to convey a feeling and not a message, like this time. And 2. The colors that represent Gilligan and Jade are related to order and chaos. Now, let's their match begin.
Started in the morning, my head was getting hazy, couldn't keep my feet on the ground. She was making love to the mirror in the bathroom, didn't hear me talking out loud. Bubblegum lipstick, baby's got me nervous, something's got a hold on my feet. You just wanna go where your problems won't follow, baby, that's okay with me. Set fire, just a little spark, that's how it goes when you're moving in the dark. Set fire, just a little spark, that's how it goes when you're moving in the dark. Got no money, still ain't that cool. I'm the little punker who's kissing you. Forget what you heard about modern love. She's still in the mirror, honey, fixing a mug, and I'm like, set fire with just a little spark. That's how it goes when you're moving in the dark. Live fast, it's a feeling not an art. Just how it goes when you're moving in the dark.
It might seem like Gilligan is losing, again. But if you remember the previous battle, Gilligan even without a weapon can deal a lot of damage. He just needs to find a way to get close to Jade without getting hit directly by the fire.
Is this about what you say? I'm all looking pretty and I'm lost. Set fire with just a little spark. That's how it goes when you're moving in the dark. Live fast, it's a feeling, not an art. Just how it goes when you're moving in the dark.
Gold is not a strong material, so get used to the fact that in every Gilligan fight, our protagonist's armor will break.
She was making love to the mirror in the bathroom, didn't hear me talking out loud.
But despite once again being a disadvantage, the Golden Knight has found a weakness in Jade. Being a break roller.
Yeah.
And with his sword in hand, he managed to unleash his true potential. Gilligan won the fight, but if we analyze, was Gilligan really the good guy in this story? Obviously not.
Take that!
After all this, Gilligan knows how to reflect on what he did and get on good terms with Jade. Hey, Umbrella, I didn't do anything. Outside the castle, Gilligan was reading some advertisements. Among them, there was a promotion to Fry's restaurant, an application to join the Nemesis clan, a Jaeger rabbit, but most importantly, a series of friendly duels, something similar to what we saw before. While the protagonist was hesitating whether to go, Jade threw one of her daggers, implying that he should go. And even though the fight was a draw, Jade made Gilligan see that the Nemesis clan is still one of the most powerful in Seer. I would like to see a tiebreaker. Wow. Hey, sorry. But that was awesome, dude. Oh, hey, I had an idea. You should do shows at your house. It will be a good way to start showing your art to others. Plus, maybe you can get some tips. Okay, you're right. You better start by simple. Every artist loves to listen to their community, be it small or large, and it gives a mass satisfaction to know that there are people who like what you do, and Gilligan knows how to express this feeling. But nevertheless, an artist, unfortunately, cannot live on this alone. So there comes a point at which they must swallow their pride and request donations.
Do you really think anyone is going to do it?
Who said that? Who are you?
It's not time to introduce myself yet, but trust me, no one is going to. It's just not worth it.
But what did you say? They love him.
Really? Let's hear it again.
Well, it is true that in this way of art you will receive several criticisms, and in the beginning this can be quite dismotivating. But that doesn't mean that your art is bad. In the end, there will be at least one person who is fascinated by your work and wants to support you monetarily even in the slightest. Gilligan expected to have hundreds of fans, but the reality is this. That's why he feels in this way. But that's not the face he wants to show to the first person who believes in him. Obviously, Lillian sees this, and he wants to show him that he has his full support, something quite adorable. Gildeguy uses gold to be who he is, but eventually he has run out of money to support his dream. He sometimes questions what his life will be if he is still living in Light Factory. But if there is one thing we know about Gildeguy, it is his persistence to keep going, so he sets out to go to the next level, the basement bar. What? What do you mean you don't know the basement bar? Well, come closer. The basement bar is a private place where not everyone is allowed to enter. Basically, it's a place where shows and acts are present. The one that gets more attention from the public is the main event, until someone arrives and surprises it. Also, like all bars, food and drinks are served. This seems to be the place.
Alright.
Oh, I'm going with you. I'm just one of support. In this place, we meet Penny. She has been the main event for a while, and that has given her a lot of experience.
I'm going down to the basement, y'all, where people have a good time. The parties that I hit have nothing to do with my ears are going out of their mind. Down here they play the real thing, songs that really are rock and roll.
Gildeguy saying this gets discouraged and thinks about leaving, but he takes to the stage and does his show. But because of embarrassment, he doesn't want to ask for donations.
I'm never leaving the floor. I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement, 'cause I really wanna rock and roll. Oh, and when the man gets on the mic, tells us to hang our burdens up. He says songs you hear today all start to get in the way till you're barely even feeling the love. He drops the needle on a pop song. He drops the needle on.
Gildeguy thinks too much about how he can get those tips. As Penny's turn runs out, she tells him he should try this time, which our golden eye takes quite literally, and this happens.
Watch me cut a rug in the show. Going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement, 'cause I really wanna rock and roll. Alright. Party people.
Penny will try to explain to our protagonist that the most important thing is not the goal, but to remember well your origins and why you do this, to which Gildeguy will try to give it his all to put on a good show.
Here's something for my ears. They're soldiers forgetting our day jobs, trying to get our phone call, 'cause we came to rock and roll. I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement, 'cause I be.
Although, of course, he's still attentive to who can donate to him. So, as final lesson, Penny makes the golden eye see that as long as you love what you do, the rest will come eventually.
I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to the basement. I'm talking little Stevie Wonder. I'm talking Mr. Ronald Isley. I'm talking James Brown. I'm talking Miss Aretha Franklin. I'm talking Sister Sam Cooke. I'm talking Mama Michael Jackson.
Gildeguy has finally understood, and he no longer cares how much he's generating. The only thing he cares about is having a good time in the basement bar. See, I told ya, they love him.
They love Penny, but do not worry, you will meet me soon. Enjoy this moment, Gilded Guy. Who knows if this will be the last one?
Really wanna rock and roll.
I really love how Michael animated this story, not only because of the colors that represent emotion that Gilligan feels, but also how Golden Boy was taught in the art of asking. I have seen artists who refuse to charge for their work. It may be because of the lack of confidence or not knowing how to value their art. Gilligan was very lucky to meet Penny. She helped him and taught him. He may make mistakes, but they will serve to make you better and learn what you do is done for love and not just for the money. It is a pity that not all lessons can be learned in this way, and in order to learn them, it is necessary to go through some very hard stage, similar to the one our protagonist is going through. Are you okay? You have been pretty tense these days, and I see you haven't been able to create something. You should take a break. Yeah, I know quite a few places we could go. You know, to clear your mind. Let's see, where can we go? Are you sure? It is a place pretty close to you know where. Well, it is true that you have already been through that place, and in these last few months you haven't practiced your strategy, attack, and agility. So the commune monsters won't do anything to you. But I still have a bad omen about it. Well, I guess as long as we don't get too far away, we will be fine. Let's go. This place is treacherous. We had better stay vigilant. What the? This forest gets stranger every time I visit it. Oh, right. Welcome to the Dead Forest, a large, swampy patch of land, where it is said that the souls of those who have been fallen in combat resonate among the logs. This place is home of various creatures that normally attack anyone who thinks to enter. The only ones able to deal with them are the Rockhack gladiators, but even with their power, this forest causes intimidation to anyone who steps foot on it. But there is nothing to worry about. The Nemesis clan has done a lot of hard work to keep this monster further away from the village. I guess we'll be fine. Why did Gilligan decide to come here? Well, that is something that is not made very clear. But I guess our protagonist, even with his great dedication to reach his dream, the road to get this has overhauled him. Added to this, come experience the life gives you, which are not always satisfying. All this will lead anyone to just want to stop everything and relax. This darkness, which Gilligan releases, has been seen before. It doesn't reflect something negative. I see it more as a strong emotion. We have seen it increase when Gilligan feels sad and calm. We will surely see this later on. Now, to not confuse us, the Gilligan of now that is open his eyes, we will call it conscience. Gilligan's conscience, by trying to relax completely, forgets all the worries making them disappear, concentrating only in the music that radiates our protagonist. But when he tries to do this, the only thing that does not disappear is his sword that reflects him, but in a distorted, broken, tired, and corrupted version. It is in this moment where he attacks, making the biggest fears of a Golden Knight stand out. He fears to lose his fans, his friends, his projects, and his dreams, being that without them he is nothing. Now this is only an interpretation, since there are other metaphors that can be used in this scene. For example, when Gilligan is relaxing instead of working, he will gradually lose everything he has achieved, being that the darkness that now grows from him makes reference to an anguish. Anyway, our protagonist does not want to be interrupted by these thoughts. So he throws down his sword and gets ready to relax again. But it is in these moments where someone is vulnerable that life strikes its best shot. Hey, stop everything! This is going to be complicated. He is Bach, or as I like to call it, The Acid Monster. Created by ACB, Bog is one of the most ruthless duelists I have ever seen. His nature and motives are uncertain. It's known that he usually remains calm, wandering through the dead forest. However, once Bog hunger sets in, he will do whatever it takes to eat. The duels that Bog has engaged in are kept on old school. Meeting fights to the death. Gilgamesh until now has only faced friends or rivals. I take this as a metaphor that nothing can fully prepare you for life. Anyway, we had better get out of here.
I've been waiting for this from the first moment I saw him. His mind full of enthusiasm only whetted my appetite more and more. No one will be able to take away this opportunity to dine.
Come on, dude, get up. The fans will kill me if I tell them because of me, Gillenat's 3 is not going to be released. Bog is escaping. That's weird. Here, let me help you. Are you okay? Well, analyzing this story is complex, given that turbulent moments in life, those aren't very clear. This makes attempting to make sense of it all an overwhelming task. The only conclusion you can reach is that you feel bad. In Michael's case, you could say he was going through quite tough times. Having to make such a significant decision like leaving a stable job, friends and family behind to pursue a dream is something that inevitably becomes the central focus of your thoughts when at some point you make a mistake or have a luck. What would have become of me if I had stayed? Was it a good choice? To that, add other negative experience. For example, when Gilligan allows Bog to enter in his consciousness, Bog casts a spell that releases the deepest feelings of our protagonist. We see in them how Gilligan has nightmares due to overthinking his decisions, how this has robbed him of sleep and led him to lose his way in life. Furthermore, we witness how he feels shattered after going through heartbreak. He envies other couples who seem to be doing well and are very happy. Lastly, he is afraid of expressing his feelings and being misunderstood, receiving mockery or contempt. And that's how an infernal battle between gold and acid unfolded. This story is one of my favorites, not only due to the incredible animation that was used, but also because of how Gilligan demonstrates having applied everything he has learned throughout the past stories. His attack prowess, strategic thinking, quick adaptation to new environments, agility, and speed to deliver critical blows. However, that doesn't prove to be enough to defeat Bog. He is too powerful and managed to even make Gilligan lose the sole reason he keeps standing: his dreams. Just seconds before our protagonist becomes another victim of Bog, he managed to catch sight of his reflection in his sword. He knows perfectly well what he must do. By entering into Gilligan's consciousness, Bog destroys him in various ways. But we all know what Gilligan's most potent weapon is. It is not his equipment, it is not his sword, it is not his agility, nor his cunning. It is his persistence. It might hurt to maintain it, and you might find yourself in a situation where you want to give up. But Gilligan, even where there were opportunities where he could have given up on everything, never did so. And now, when his life depends on it, he won't do it either, staying strong and secure, moving forward in the face of danger. This is how I interpret this scene, considering that now the growing feeling within Gilligan is his persistence, calming the chaos that resides in his mind and concluding the battle in a draw until both of them vanish. In the end, Gilligan managed to survive and make it home, but when he puts his armor back on, he noticed that due to the battle, a scar has remained on his hands. Nevertheless, our Golden Knight finds a way to not let this bother him and continues to create what he loves. But what he doesn't know is that this is only the beginning of something bigger that will become soon. Well, what more can I say? Even without dialogue and being battles among stickmen, if we take a closer look at each of the stories, they reveal a narrative beyond the world's here. In Story 0, we witness how, despite the fear he feels for his future, he managed to become independent to fulfill his dream. In Story 1, we see his initial interaction with the community, and in the tournament we observe his deeper involvement in it. In Story 2, he makes mistakes, but also learns from them and gains friends. In Story 3, he learns how to make money from what he loves while enjoying the process. Lastly, in Story 4, we get a more realistic view of certain challenging moments, yet we also witness how he deals with them and manages to overcome them. Even with the analysis we conducted on this series, anyone can provide a different interpretation. However, beyond the metaphors and lesson, we have an incredible animation work in front of us, filled with details in every aspect. These details will become even more apparent from now on. Also, this community is composed of very friendly and talented individuals. I recommend getting closer to the community and delving deeper if you are interested. That's how I would like to conclude this first part. I hope you enjoyed it, and especially to those who weren't familiar with this animator. I hope I have convinced you to follow him. That will be all. Thanks you all for watching until the end.
It's the hammer! He's real! Dudes, take my picture! Oh no, bro.
Hey, muchas gracias a los suscriptores que se quedaron. Realmente lo aprecio bastante. Sé que es algo un tanto peculiar este video, pero como sea ustedes se quedaron hasta el final, así que les quiero agradecer por eso. Muchas gracias. Esto fue en radio y nos vemos. ¡Ey! Espera, ¿cómo que no me sigues en Twitter? Sígueme. Tengo cositas interesantes. Ahora sí, esto fue en radio y nos vemos en la siguiente emisión. Adiós.